If the government could print money, why am I poor? Simple answer: a devastated economy. What is an economy and how does it work? An economy is the system a region uses to produce, distribute, and consume goods and services. It is basically how a country makes, buys, and sells things. This is important because it handles scarcity. Scarcity is a situation where human wants greatly outweigh the available resources. Resources are limited, so an economy is the system that decides how best to use these resources. Gross domestic product, or GDP. GDP is the total monetary value of all finished goods and services produced within a country's borders during a specific time period, such as a quarter or a year. A high GDP is how we identify booming economies. Inflation. In a situation where there is excess supply of money but limited or the same amount of resources, prices go up because people are willing to pay more. This is inflation, and this is why you can't just print money to solve poverty. When everyone has more money but there aren't more goods to buy, each unit of currency becomes less valuable. When inflation spirals, recession. When inflation gets out of control, it often leads to the next problem, recession. Recession is a period of temporary economic decline during which trade and industrial activity are reduced, generally identified by a fall in GDP in 2 successive quarters. During a recession, businesses close, unemployment rises, and people have less money to spend, creating a downward spiral. Now you may be thinking, but there's more cash flow. Yes, but the money has lost its value. Businesses stop making profits, they lay off workers to cut costs, and people start hoarding their money as a result of the unemployment and high prices needed to survive. And where does this leave your country on the global stage? As a country, investments from other countries and regions strengthen your economy, which strengthens the purchasing power of your currency. Inflation shows economic instability and impending recession, which is unattractive to investors. In cases of high inflation, the strength of the currency of the affected region drops, which is a sign of a devastated economy. So, ordering from Amazon is not an option anymore. Your money simply can't buy what it used to, especially from abroad. Let's look at Venezuela. Venezuela's economy relied heavily on oil exports, which made up about 95% of export earnings. When global oil prices crashed in 2014, the government lost its main source of revenue. Instead of cutting spending, President Nicolas Maduro's government started printing massive amounts of money to pay for social programs, subsidies, and government salaries. They also imposed strict price controls on basic goods, which discouraged businesses from producing them. The result was hyperinflation and hyper-recession. By 2018, inflation reached 1 million% annually. Prices doubled every 19 days at the worst point. The bolivar became worthless. A single US dollar was worth billions of bolivars. The government kept printing higher denomination bills, eventually issuing a 1 million bolivar note that couldn't even buy a kilogram of cheese. Venezuela's GDP collapsed by over 75% between 2013 and 2020. This is worse than the Great Depression. Oil production fell from 3 million barrels per day to under 500,000. Businesses closed by the thousands. Unemployment skyrocketed as formal jobs disappeared. For Venezuelans, daily life became a desperate struggle for survival. People woke up at 3 or 4 a.m. to stand in lines for hours, hoping stores would have basic items like flour, milk, or toilet paper. Many stores were empty. People lost an average of 24 pounds due to malnutrition. Venezuelans grimly called it the Maduro diet. Electricity was unreliable with blackouts lasting days. Running water was scarce. Hospitals ran out of medicine and basic supplies. People died from treatable conditions because there was no insulin, no antibiotics, no surgical equipment. Infant mortality increased by over 60%, and maternal mortality by 65%. There were deaths from preventable diseases, malnutrition, and violence. People survived by bartering. People traded goods and services directly, avoiding worthless currency. Remittances. Those with family abroad depended on money sent from other countries. Black market. An entire shadow economy emerged where goods were sold in US dollars. Fleeing. Over 7 million Venezuelans, about 25% of the population, left the country. Side hustles. Doctors drove taxis. Teachers sold goods on the street. Cryptocurrency. Some turned to Bitcoin to preserve value. So when governments print money without growing the economy, they create inflation that makes everyone poorer, including you. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Midas Purse for more.